Let me take you back a fair few años for a little story time. I was interning at an office in Madrid, and every lunch break, my Spanish colleagues would take an hour and a half to eat their homemade gazpacho and their tortillas, nattering away at 200 miles per hour. And I used to absolutely dread these lunch breaks because it was intense, it was exposing, my Spanish wasn't amazing, I couldn't keep up, it was just not very relaxing at all. So I'd sit on the periphery of the table. It was a big, long table, and you'd have a few women who were the main instigators of the chat and a couple guys there, and I would always be on the periphery, just kind of dipping my toe in and out, trying to understand how to interact with people. So it was a real difficult game to try and decipher what the hell they were talking about. And as I said, my Spanish was decent, textbook, some might say, but I was in trouble and I needed another plan. I needed a way in, a way into the conversation, into the group. And so I found this phrase, calentar la silla. I found it online. I was searching for Spanish slang in an office, something to get the conversation going. And calentar la silla means literally to keep your seat warm. So it literally means to keep your seat warm. But the slang is used to refer to someone who just stays in the office to look like they're doing the work without actually doing any work. Okay, so you're just someone who keeps their seat warm. And so I needed a target. I needed a target to launch this accusation at. And so I chose Carlos, who I was getting closer with, and he was the joker of the group. And so I thought he would be a reasonable target to sling this accusation at. And so I did. I accused him of calentando la silla with a wry smile. And there was a bit of a nervous pause. And then everyone started laughing. Partirse de risa is the phrase for that. And I'd made it. I was in. And from then on, every lunch break, they would teach me more slang phrases and words. I would ask questions, and then I would just slowly start moving from the edge of the table closer to the center and just integrating myself a little more. So that's really what the slang taught me, is to connect with people. I was talking to an American lady over email. She had a similar experience with some Mexicans in San Diego. And these are just little ways into living the language rather than just learning it. And you don't need to overdo it, but they do help a lot. So, que lo que, Dominican Republic, tío, tía, Spain, fome, Chile. All of these things are just little words and phrases, little doorways that you can walk through into a new life, a new connection with people. And what I've done is I've created lists of the most common slang words and phrases from my time in Spain and in Chile, as you guys might know, and also just talking to people. And I've got all of those lists separated out per country, and so you can find them. There's a downloadable printable PDF on there. There's explanations with plenty of examples. And also what you're seeing there is lists on Memrise that I've created for you to use. You can learn them for free. They're just big lists of the words, so you can really cement them in your memory, and then you can recall them. But my advice would be just learn one or two for the situation you want to infiltrate, shall we say, and then just lead with that, and you'll be surprised how your world just suddenly opens up in a magical way. So do check out the link in the description if you want to access those guides. Persevera y triunfarás. I know this is difficult. This was a more personal share, but I think it's important because not just in language learning, but there are times where we find ourselves on the periphery and it's quite an isolating feeling. So just try and bring yourself in ways you can. And if you notice someone as well on the outside, just bring them in because it's important. Any questions, let me know. Sign up to the newsletter. I've got some more exciting stuff coming up for you guys. I live this, as you know. Please do send me any messages of encouragement, for feedback, support, and any questions, of course. If you want me to make content on anything, just ping me. Un abrazo grande, chicos. Hasta luego. Ciao.